And now, for our final research speaker, we welcome our reactor for this afternoon who will share her insights and reflections on today's discussion from the perspective of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Environmental Management Bureau, or EMB. Joining us this afternoon is engineer, environmental planner, and lawyer attorney Regina Paula Di Eugenio, the OIC Chief of the Environmental Impact Assessment and Management Division of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Environmental Management Bureau. Again, as our reactor, Attorney Eugenio will offer her reflections on the discussion and provide the DENR EMB's perspective on the environmental considerations surrounding the proposed PAREX project. Please join me in warmly welcoming Attorney Regina Paula Di Eugenio. Mga kalikasang araw po, Attorney Eugenio. Welcome po sa Kamay.
Yes, isang makakalikasang hapon sa ating lahat, and it's a pleasure to be here again and to have the opportunity to share my thoughts on the proposed PAREX project. No? So when we talk about a project like this, PAREX, it is important to first understand yung project in its context and place where it is being proposed and the objectives it seeks to achieve. And for me, this is where the EIA process becomes particularly important, no? Because it gives us a structured way of understanding the potential impacts and determining how environmental considerations can be incorporated into the planning and development of the project. So the EIA process is not simply about determining whether a project should proceed or not. No, it is a process of understanding the relationship between a proposed development and the environment in which it will be located. So it allows us to identify potential impacts early, assess the significance, and also listen to the concerns of the stakeholders and determine what measures can be incorporated into the project to avoid, minimize, mitigate, or manage those impacts. So as mentioned earlier, PAREX is envisioned as a major east-west transportation link across Metro Manila. It is intended to improve connectivity and help address traffic congestions. But the proposed project also incorporates features, um, bus rapid system, pedestrian walkway, and bicycle lanes. But at the same time, we have to recognize that the project will traverse the length of the Pasig River. No, so therefore, the environmental assessment cannot look only at the physical structure of the expressway. We also have to understand how the project will interact with the river and with the communities, activities, heritage, and other developments surrounding it. So during the EIA process, no, the stakeholders raised a number of concerns. So I think Jefferson mentioned a few, no. So this includes could it including potential impacts on water quality and aquatic ecosystems, siltation, river hydrology, heritage, and cultural properties, and of course yung existing natin na parks, the esplanade, and how the project will interact with the river. No, these are important concerns, and I think they demonstrate why EIA is particularly valuable for project of this nature, because there are also questions that go beyond the immediate footprint of the project, because it goes beyond looking the expressway itself and asking how this infrastructure will fit into the broader future of Pasig River and Metro Manila. So we need to look not only at immediate construction impacts, but also at its long-term and cumulative implications. So how will the structures interact with the existing or planned parks, the heritage dimension, and these are the questions that the EIA framework allows us to bring together. And Architect Dom said that when we speak of Pasig River, we are not just talking about an ordinary body of water. The river has played an important role in the history. And of course, the EIA also looks at the relationship with surrounding communities and heritage areas. It's part of the studies that have to be conducted. No? So it's also one of the major issues and concerns of the stakeholders on both occasions during the public scoping and the public hearing. So, and I think a good EIA should not merely identify problems, it should help us find better solutions. So the EIA can inform the design of the project, improve measures, identify safeguards, and necessary point to aspects of the proposals that need to be considered or further studied. So this is the um, ultimate goal of PD 1586, no, to attain and maintain a rational and orderly balance between socio-economic development and environmental protection. And that balance is very important. We have heard it several times that in every fora that environmental protection and development should not be treated as opposing objectives. But the challenge is to determine how development can proceed while ensuring that environmental impacts are properly understood and appropriately managed. So our colleague from DTR had mentioned also the environmental compliance certificate. No? So, and it's important, especially in discussions like this, that we understand what an environmental compliance certificate is, and equally important, what it is not. So an ECC is not just a project, a declaration that says that a project will have no environmental impact. It is also not a blanket approval for the proposed project to proceed. So rather, the ECC is a decision under the Philippine Environmental Impact Statement System that based on the environmental impact assessment process and information submitted by the proponent, that it establishes environmental conditions and commitments that the proponent must comply with, in addition to securing other permits and clearances required under existing laws. So in that sense, the ECC is not the end of the environmental process. It is part of a continuing process of environmental accountability. So the assessment informs the decision, the EIA process informs the decision, the ECC establishes environmental conditions, and compliance with those conditions must continue to be monitored throughout the project's life cycle. Now, with respect to the current status of the PAREX ECC application, I will put it into this context. So the project went through public scoping that was mentioned by earlier in 2021 and technical scoping in the same year. And it also conducted EIARC meetings and public hearings in March 2022. And during these stages, various stakeholder concerns were raised and considered in the succeeding EIA process. So before we issue an environmental compliance certificate, madami pong prosesong pinagdadaanan yan. So the proponent was expected to submit the revised environmental impact statement addressing the matters raised during the public hearing and during the technical review meetings. However, the proponent, they requested additional time, no, to submit yung revised EIA report natin, and EMB granted the extension. However, as we speak, no, yung submission ay hindi na submit. So since 2023 pa yan, existing rules and regulations under DAO 2003-30 provides that pag hindi siya na-submit within 1 year, the application is returned. So when we say the application is returned, we don't interpret it that the project is unacceptable. But it means that under the existing rules and regulations of the EIA process, the application could not proceed based on the required submissions not having been submitted. So hindi pa nila nasasubmit yung mga kailangan nilang isubmit, and they have not fully addressed the issues and concerns of the stakeholders. So, and with that, this illustrates why the EIA process is important, because it creates a space where development proposals can be examined carefully, technical informations can be evaluated, and stakeholder concerns can be heard, and environmental considerations can meaningfully inform planning and decision making. So, looking beyond the project, no? Uh, and I would like to raise one broader policy point. So this discussion on PyRex reminds us that environmental assessment should not only begin when a specific project is already being proposed, because ideally, environmental considerations should already be incorporated much earlier when we are developing our policy plans and programs and long-term development strategies. No? While PD 1586 is important in assessing specific projects, there is also value in asking the broader questions before a project reaches the EIA stage. So, for example, when we plan our transportation systems, urban development, river rehabilitation, or infrastructure net, or any other major development initiatives, environmental considerations should already be integrated into the planning process, to include identifying the sensitive areas, recognizing the ecological, cultural, and social values that needs to be protected. No? And it's a broader planning consideration that there is a need for a more integrated approach to our planning, such as to transportation planning. Because when transport infrastructure is planned as individual projects rather than as part of a connected and comprehensive system, there is a risk of fragmented solutions where roads, expressway, and public are developed without fully considering how they interact with one another from an from as an environmental planner, no, and it is my perspective that it is important because environmental impacts of transportation cannot always be assessed project by project in isolation. And so I think we need a better um planning. We can opt for strategic environmental assessment that complements project level EIA, because the EIA asks what will this particular project do to the environment and how we can manage those impacts. But at the planning level, we should also be asking what kind of development do we want for this area and where should it take place? How can we achieve our development objectives while remaining within the environmental limits of the area? And I think these two levels of assessment should work together, whether we are talking about Parex or any other major development. No? Environmental protection should not only be considered at the project level, it should be embedded in the way we plan development in the first place. So, as an environmental planner, I believe this is where we can make a real difference by bringing environmental considerations upstream when there is still greater opportunity to influence the direction and form of development rather than addressing environmental impacts only after the major project decisions have already been made. And the goal is not to choose between development and environmental protection. The goal is always to plan development in a way that respects environmental limits, recognizes the value of our natural and cultural heritage, and responds to the needs of communities and remain sustainable for future generations. And perhaps that is the direction we should continue to pursue. Not only better project level EIA, but better environmental plan at the policy plan and program level. I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Attorney Eugenio, for sharing with us. First of all, great to see you again in our Kamayan po, no? Thank you for sharing with us much valuable insights from DNREMB, no? Especially the environmental impact assessment processes in relation to the Pasig River Expressway, which, as mentioned, considers not only the infrastructure's effects in the site, but also the interaction of the environment surrounding the project. Again, thank you, Attorney Eugenio, for making these considerations clear to us. And thank you once again to Mr. Francisco from the Road TPDD, our architect Galicia, and Mr. Jefferson Estela for honoring us this afternoon with your presence, with of course much insights to carry. No, I think we are already proceed to the open forum, but before that, let's quickly take our group shots po muna, no? May we kindly ask our members, our participants, as well as our resource speakers to please turn your cameras on for a group screenshot to be facilitated by GC's tech assistant, Miss Maribeth Jose. Miss Maribeth, please cue us in.
birthday, makakangiti pa ba tayo sa mga narinig natin? Pero syempre, green convergence to eh. So, on the count of 3, just say green. Ano po to? 3
Green.
slides, kaya sasabihin ko po kapag okay na. So, 1, 2, 3, say
Alright.
green.
Green.
One more slide. Green.
Green.
And the last slide. Green.
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 Maraming salamat po.
Okay, thank you, Miss Mabeth. And thank you po ulit sa inyong lahat. Sir David, I think ready na po talaga tayo for our open forum.
Yun, maraming salamat. Napakaganda ng ating mga discussion. Thank you, Miss Mabeth and Marian. It is time for us to open the floor to hear some of the thoughts, questions, and reactions of our participants, both on Zoom and Facebook live stream. Please use the raise hand option on Zoom if you would like to speak, and we will gladly recognize you. Once called, please introduce yourself and clearly state your question and to whom it is directed. Or you also have the option to type your question or comment in the chat box. Marian and I will gladly read it for you. Rest assured that we will try to entertain as many questions or participants as time permits following a first come, first served basis. In the interest of time, for those that you would be able to entertain, feel free to reach out to GC's channels or directly to our resource speakers. And of course, to our resource speakers and to everyone who wishes to send in more resources to supply our conversation for this afternoon, please feel free to send the link in the chat box. At gaya nga po, andyan na po yung briefer ng Parex at yung link sa petition from Jefferson. Maraming salamat. So we encourage you to participate. We will also welcome them to keep the conversation going, and para na rin we have resources to refer to even beyond our Kamayan Forum. So let's start. Sino po mga gustong i-share, itanong, go ahead.
Hi. Hi.
So, Dr.
We
Galang?
see, yes po, we see Dr. Galang raising her hand.
Yes, and me also. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes
po.
po, Dr. Galang.
Okay.
Ano mag-raise hand?
Well, the director Eugenio says that, and I think that is the whole theme that even the other speakers took. That in the end, it's really the kind of development that we want. I'm sorry, I'll just close this other. In the end, it's what kind of development we want. But that's not in our level of discussion now. I mean, I guess that should go to NEDA or even up there to the president. What kind of, when the cabinet speaks about their projects, these should be all synchronized and coordinated, and everyone decides on what is kind of development we want. Okay, I think in this audience, we really want people-centered development. Okay. Okay, but in our subject matter now, it is unfortunate that we did not really get the specs of the Parex. How wide will it be? How much of the river will it cover? My concern is that it will cover the river from sunlight. And sunlight is needed for the ecosystem of the river to flourish. Otherwise, you will just have the anaerobic bacteria there, and anaerobic oxidation will happen, and we will have terrible smelling river. That's one ecological issue. Number two, do we really need it? Okay. Will it solve the traffic problems that we have now? As has been mentioned, there is what is called induced demand, induced traffic. When you build it, it will come. People will go to it. Okay. when Katipunan was being widened, they said it will improve traffic. But look at Katipunan now. Everybody talks about how horrendous the traffic is here. Pretty soon there will be traffic in the Skyway. It is there, so people will use it. Another ecological issue, how much cement, steel bars, other materials will go into it? What mountains will it carve out in order to build that monumentous infrastructure? Do we really need it? Number one, considering that there are so many negative impacts, ecological, environmental, like air pollution, water pollution, heat island, and cultural, like the heritage consideration that Dom Galicia was talking about. So it's really balancing the cost to the environment and benefits, if any, to travel, for example. So I don't know if Director Eugenio knows the width of the superhighway that we're talking about. How much of the river will it cover? Dr. Eugenio or Dom or whoever.
Yes, maybe Attorney Eugenio or from DOTR po. May makakasagot po ng question ni Dr. Galang.
Ma'am, if I may.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Ma'am, based on the initial submission of SMC, no, with regards to their project, the project will run from west of Metro Manila, beginning at the areas of San Nicolas and Intramuros, and terminates at around C6 with a connection to the Southeast Metro Manila Expressway within the vicinity of Taytay, the province of Rizal. And the alignment will be 3 segments. And
Yeah.
yes,
Go
ma'am.
ahead.
And the project will connect and utilize a 2.70 kilometer portion of the existing Metro Manila Skyway project from Plaza Azul to San Juan River intersection. So it's based on the draft EIS, it's a 30 meters maximum width consisting of 6 lanes with 3 lanes per direction. So that's from their environmental impact statement project description po.
Dr. Galang, nakamute po kayo.
The width is 30 meters. What is the percentage of that, of the Pasig River? How wide is the Pasig River? Will it, in the EIA or EIS, does it mention the effect on the ecosystem of the river?
Ma'am, that is it's another considerations that the proponent has to address pa po. So they were not able
Sorry,
to
wala
address.
pa-
Yes,
Ah,
ma'am. That's
wala-
why we returned it. Yes po.
And then, the volume of the materials that will be put into the construction, just like the Dolomite Beach torn down a whole mountain from Cebu. So how many
So
mountains will this?
it's not included po dun sa kanilang report. Yeah, EIS study.
Yeah, I think that should also be included, no?
Yes, ma'am. We'll take note of that po.
Thank you.
Thank you po.
Thank you. I think DOTR, Sir Ivan Francisco is raising his hand. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Hi, sir. From the information provided to us, by the Toll Regulatory Board. The project description says it is a 19.37 kilometers elevated expressway. It has a 6-lane all elevated expressway which will traverse from Radial Road 10 in the city of Manila to its termination at a connection with the proposed Southeast Metro Manila Expressway at C6 Circumferential Road 6 at C6, and it will connect and utilize a 2.7 kilometer portion of the Skyway Stage 3 from Nagtahan to Plaza Azul. May I call on our colleagues here from Toll Regulatory Board? I think they are also in this call with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Ivan. Anyone from the Toll Regulatory Board?
Yes, sir. Good
Go
afternoon.
ahead po. Good afternoon.
Okay, so medyo intermittent yung connection ka. Sir Ivan, ano po yun?
Sir, kung ano daw po, kung gaano yung ka-wide yung span ng expressway, if you have information din, sir. Kasi what was given to us, ang information po is 6 lanes daw po yung elevated expressway.
Sir, this is more or less around 23 meters, sir.
Okay.
Alright.
Thank you, sir. Ayun po, mukhang yun po yata ang ano natin. I think one
Alright.
lane po yata is around 3.5 meters. So 6 lanes yung nasa information. Around mukhang ganun po
24.
around.
24 meters plus.
30. Tama siguro yung
Okay
30.
po.
Thank
Yes
you
po. And-
very much. Before we proceed, Marian, with Sir Rob C, let's first ask Mini, who had been
Yes
raising
po.
his hand. Go ahead po.
Before that po, since na-mention po na 30 meters daw po approximately yung width ng Parex, na-mention po ni Sir Jefferson Estela po sa chat that Pasig River is around 50 meters wide po. So, 30 meters po yung mako-cover approximately, if that's a correct estimation po. Okay po, let's proceed po kay
Mini.
his
Hi.
yes po.
Is Maniam from Save Aroseros Movement.
Thank you po.
Yes, I have actually two questions. One is mainly an observation. I was really impressed by the presentation made by Jeff Estela about all the dangers that is posed by Parex, yung mga unintended consequences. Now, I would just like to state, and this is just a statement because I know that it's not the topic here, that all of those unintended consequences are going to happen if we go through with SALEX, which is the Southern Access Link Expressway. And just for everyone's information, I'm not going to make this long because I know that SALEX is not the topic here, but I just want everyone here to be aware that SALEX is an even more urgent problem than Parex. Because for SALEX, they already started work. And SALEX is 2 times the length of Parex. SALEX is 40 kilometers long, whereas Parex is just 19, well, basically 20 kilometers long. So, and also, SALEX is going to put a 6-lane elevated expressway, same as Parex, on top of major streets within the city of Manila. It will start from Cavitex, and then it will put a 6-lane skyway on top of Rojas Boulevard. On top of Rojas Boulevard, all the way to Pedro Hill. And then it will turn at Pedro Hill, and then turn at Mabini, then turn at Padre Faura, and go all the way down. Imagine Padre Faura, papatungan nila ng 6-lane expressway. Along Padre Faura, it will go all the way until it reaches Paco Park. Then from Paco Park, it will go all the way until along San Marcelino, all the way dadaanan niya yung Adamson University, which has some important cultural buildings, and then turn along Ayala, and then it will supposed to meet up with Parex. So magka-related yung Parex at saka Salex. And the reason I'm saying that Salex is more urgent is because they have actually started work on Salex as early as first quarter of last year in their status report, San Miguel. First quarter last year, I'm talking about our status report submitted in March 2025. So that's like 1.5 years ago. They already put board piles in some of the sections of Salex. And then, as everybody here, I hope you're all aware, all the tree cutting that was recently done along Quirino Avenue, that is for Salex. It's what is called the Quirino extension for Salex. So just to let everyone know that Salex is actually a more urgent concern. All those consequences that Jefferson Estela beautifully showed us kanina for Parex, that will happen with Salex. It will be even worse because Salex is going to pass through the city of Manila. It's not going to pass through, the river where practically nobody lives, right? I mean, there are people living beside it. It's going to pass through inhabited, densely populated sections of the city of Manila, of course, including parts of Parañaque, Pasay, Navotas, and I don't know what else, and up to Bulacan. Okay, so that's my first. It's just a statement. I'm not okay. Now I have a question to Attorney Eugenio. Attorney Eugenio, I was very glad to hear what you were saying about, doing the environmental considerations upstream and, integrating it into the planning process before the project even reaches the EIA step. Now, for Salex, there are already 3 ECCs. Nobody was aware of that. There was no public consultation as far as we know. Unlike Parex, you got public consultation for Parex. The STOA for Salex was approved in June 2022, just 3 months after the STOA for Parex was approved, which was in March 2022. But for Salex, we didn't get any public hearings or public consultations. But then there are already 3 ECCs. And, it's a corollary question. Why are there 3 ECCs when there is only one project and it is 40 kilometers long? I mean, so many questions. Now, what I want to know is who can we talk with in EMB about these questions that we have?
Yes, ma'am. You can coordinate po with our EMB NCR.
So, ma'am, you are not with EMB NCR?
I'm with the central office po.
So, ma'am, well, actually, I got the ECCs from EMB NCR. So, does it mean that you did not have any hand in the issuance of those ECCs? The
Yes,
central
ma'am.
office?
It's under the jurisdiction of the EMB regional office po.
But who supervises the what they call
Regional office.
the compliance? Sorry, who supervises if the process that it underwent complies with your EIMB, with EISS, the EISS system? Who's supposed to audit that?
It's the EMB central office po, ma'am. So
They
I will
audit
have to
themselves?
check po.
They audit
will audit-
themselves?
No, ma'am. It's the EMB central office who audits the EMB regional offices po.
Okay,
In
so
terms
ma'am,
of, yes, ma'am.
okay, because I've read all those documents. I filed an FOI with EMB NCR and I got the documents. And I have a lot of questions. So can I refer these questions to you, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Okay, so I will
Yes,
write you an email with
Yes,
the
ma'am.
questions I have. And I will.
Yes, ma'am.
So ma'am, privately, can you send me your email address?
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Okay, and maybe just in the chat, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you po. Thank you very much. All right. We have Mr. Rob C. Yes. po.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I
Afternoon
have
po.
several questions and maybe also a suggestion. First, for the Environmental Management Bureau and Attorney Eugenio, it would be good to update, what is in your website on the status of the EIA and ECC for Parex, because what you've told us today is that their application has expired and they need to submit a new one. Is that correct? I'm just wondering whether, at least if SMC has to resubmit, then it would be important for them to be able to capture also impacts that have more recently been identified. So maybe I just want to say, related to what Manny said earlier, that SALEX, the viability of SALEX, depends on the existence of PAREX, because PAREX actually connects two sections of SALEX. Given that, I believe that the Toll Regulatory Board should not authorize any construction, any development of SALEX until it is certain that PAREX should proceed, or that PAREX will proceed, because we don't want to be left in a situation where SMC builds two sections of SALEX and then makes the argument that the only way these two sections can be viable is if PAREX is built. What we know today is that PAREX has many harms. And after more than 5 years without yet an ECC, we know that PAREX is a highly questionable project. More recently, I want to bring to everyone's attention the finding of Dr. Mahar Lagmay of the UP Resilience Institute, who conducted a simulation study of the flooding impact of having Parex's pillars embedded in the Pasig River. And this was his conclusion, that having so many pillars of Parex embedded in the Pasig River would impede the flow, the natural flow of water. And the impact of this is that it would increase the severity and frequency of flooding in the upstream sections of the Pasig River, including the communities around Laguna Lake. So those communities that suffer already periodic flooding around Laguna Lake would have it, in even more severe circumstances once Parex is built. So this is clearly a very serious harm that would be caused by Parex. And given the experience in the last few days and the last week regarding flooding in our metropolis, this is a warning that we need to take very seriously. So first, for our gentleman in the from the DOTR, and also for our colleagues in the Toll Regulatory Board, given that this finding, this scientific finding of Dr. Lagmay, I believe it is sufficient for the Toll Regulatory Board to review its previous approval of Parex and rescind it until further study is conducted on this particular finding, this particular scientific finding. Second, in the event that another EIA application is submitted by San Miguel, we now know that also impacted would be the upstream communities along the Pasig River and the communities around Laguna Lake. And therefore, because those communities are also going to be affected by PAREX, they should be also subjects, or they should also be consulted regarding PAREX because they are affected. So it would appear, therefore, that whatever San Miguel has done today in terms of any public consultation is still insufficient. So I would say it requires them to do, again, further work on the EIA or a repeat of the EIA process. I'm hoping that TRB and DOTR can carry back this information, but to Mr. Francisco, I would like to ask him if he believes that this finding about the harms that PAREX would bring, which had previously not been evident to anyone, including the Toll Regulatory Board, whether this could be brought to the Toll Regulatory Board for its information and further action. Thank you.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon. Definitely, sir, we will have these included in our evaluation, especially with our coordination with the TRB. To our TRB colleagues here, definitely po, kailangan po natin i-take into consideration yung mga findings and yung mga na-raise po na concerns and issues po dito. In our ongoing evaluation of the PAREX proposal.
Sir, at least one point is important, that no further work on SALEX should take place until it is confirmed that PAREX will proceed. I think that is a very, very important point and should be driven home to all the authorities, including at the senior-most levels of DOTR. Thank you.
Duly noted, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Sir Rob and DOTR. Yes, I believe may question naman po si Sir Greg. Yes po.
Hello po, magandang pagbati ngayong buwan ng wikang pambansa. Development nga ba pag sinira ang kalikasan? Bakit negosyo ay mapanira ng kapaligiran? Gagawin nila ay para raw sa pag-unlad ng bayan kahit wasak ang paligid, ilog at kalunsuran. Lagi nilang alibay ang development na ito, or development daw masira man ang ating mundo. Alibay ng korporasyon ang pag-unlad na ito, pag-unlad ng bulsa nila, paano na ang tao? Parang korporasyon lagi kalaban environment, parang lagi nating kalaban ng korporasyon. Yun lang po, maraming salamat.
Thank you, Sir Greg, for sharing that insight po and question. I believe it's yes po, Dr. Galang.
Yeah, in connection with what Mr. C said and many said, it's very alarming, the information they gave about SALEX. Maybe we can include that in the petition, Jefferson, not only PAREX, but also what the involvement of SALEX, that the connection of the two, because we should include that in the petition. And I think we will include that in the resolutions that we will send to the government agencies, which we regularly do after every Kamayan session. We will include that in our letter to the powers that be, and maybe Jefferson, you can include that in your petition that you are routing to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Galang. That's a very good suggestion po, no, to also call for the... yes po, Sir Matthew Galang from Ilog Pasiglahin.
Yes, I am Matthew from Ilog Pasiglahin. I just wanted to ask a question to the Toll Regulatory Board regarding the Supplemental Toll Operations Agreement for Parex. Kasi back in May 2024, sabi po ni then Director Alvin Carullo na and this is at the time na SMC said na cancel daw ang Parex. So we looked around, we found out na they said it's canceled, but then they did not withdraw their EI application with EMB, and they did not withdraw from the STOA either. So Mr. Carullo was interviewed by, I think, the media, and sabi niya at the time na if the government daw were to withdraw from the STOA, there would be legal and monetary consequences that they would have to give to SMC as compensation. And when we check those clauses in the Parex STOA, it seems that all of the conditions there where the government can withdraw from the STOA without penalty is only if SMC themselves are to withdraw from the project. So the only condition where the government can withdraw and SMC won't impose penalties on the government is supposedly if they don't meet obligations with regards to construction, funding, failure to submit drawings, etc. So in the event, let's say na the government would want to withdraw from the STOA and SMC does not, does the TRB know of a legal way to avoid the penalty? Because we're talking about the social and environmental harms of the project. And of course, we assume that the STOA was signed between the two parties, knowing the legal complications if the government wanted to withdraw anytime. That's all.
Good afternoon, sir. Medyo legal yung question, sir. Sa ngayon, di kita masasagot. Pero I take note yung comment po ninyong concern. Then it will be part of my report.
All right. Thank you.
All right po. Yes po, si Miss Tessa po. You're raising your hand.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Well, it has been a very productive discussion, no? And how I wish Architect Dom was a teacher in social studies or something, kasi he really brought up the significance of Pasig. Kasi from my recollection, actually, as a young child, Pasig, when you talk about Pasig, maamoy mo yung, maalala mo yung baho ng Pasig. So, talagang there is a need to let people know the significance, the historical and cultural significance of Pasig. So maybe this should be included in the curriculum of DepEd. Kasi talagang you see the condition of Pasig, the current condition, wala yung historical talaga eh. But anyway, now that we know how important and how historical it is, well, I agree that it should really be preserved. I would just like to know that there are suggestions, no? Like for example, the promenade. I'd like to know, will this promenade answer the traffic situation, and yung ferry network? Well, maybe that could be one option, yung ferry network. But yung promenade, kunyari, how can this answer yung ating present situation on traffic, for example? Anyway, that's my question.
I can try to answer that, no. Well, the promenade would not be the only solution. It will be part of a network of solutions, and that's what we are really pushing for. It's a network of solutions, which a network of sensitive solutions, right? The, I mean, I some of you might have, been to cities where you can walk from one end of of a city to the other end of the city just along the banks of the rivers of that city. I mean, you can do that in Singapore. There are places in other parts of the world where that is done, right? And so those promenades are part of networks that also include bridges, right? So the connectivity that is much needed can be answered with a whole network, promenade, bridges, ferries, more public transportation, which would redound to a beautiful city, actually. I mean, some of the most beautiful cities in the world have these intelligent systems. And some cities which were ugly before came to the point of realization that things like Parex, these overhead expressways are ugly, right? And they have in those cities taken them down. I mean, someone posted the note about that river in Seoul, right? And now how that river in Seoul, which had been covered by a highway, the river was uncovered, and now that's one of the most expensive real estate in Seoul, right? So I think, and this is actually a message for the government agencies, for the engineers and technocrats in Department of Transportation and in the Toll Regulatory Board, to recall a time when in Manila, the way to look at the future of Manila involved the question of, will it be beautiful? Will this solution contribute to the beauty of Manila, because we are the pearl of the Orient, et cetera, right? And I think that question should return it, because that was a time when, and you can see it actually in other countries where you see these humane touches of public transportation, humane touches of promenades and bridges. You get a sense of the love of a government for its people, right? Let's bring that back. Let's get a sense that the government loves us, because the pictures that Jefferson showed of that multi-lane expressway beside on Araneta Avenue, and the business is dying, that does not express the love of a government for its people, right? I think, and I'm speaking rhetorically, no, but let's please bring that back. Let's bring, and I think the current administration has that desire to express that love, right? Let's bring that. Let's manifest that, and it's very, very clear that a project like Parex, right, which is so beneficial to a few, which is so profoundly ugly. I mean, really? I mean, can you, when you think, oh, is this what I want in my heart of hearts? Is this what I think God wants? Is this the will of God that we have a 6-lane highway on the river? Right? Is this what I want to bring with me when I on my last day, I say, oh, St. Peter, I built a highway on a river. Can I enter heaven? I mean, that's I'm traveling quite far afield here, but because these are basic questions. I mean, and we have to return to these basic questions to understand how we move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tess, and thank you, Architect Galicia. I think we can entertain po si Sir Jeff is raising his hand po. One last po muna before we conclude our forum. Yes po.
Yes, thank you, Marian. Yeah, as for me, not a question really, but a statement siguro. I think in unison, no, we are in the same page, at least in this platform, of what we think about Parex, Salex, and other related projects. The fact that SMC is not present here, or the Toll Regulatory Board can comment on our questions, says it all. That means they can't refute any of the claims presented by me, by our orgs, or by the speakers presented here. Because, we have seen this scenario over and over again from different projects and its environmental impacts. We can name a lot of projects na grabe yung naging impact to our environment, and we can let these things be normalized because it has been normalized a lot of times already that we thought na kapag may itinayo, it's a progress, it's a sign of progress, which is not entirely true. And maybe siguro just to also make an action forward after this, maybe if we can also remind EMD, DNR as a general mandate for the Filipino people, no, na they should reject this project because of its harmful impact. And we are reminding the DNR na it's their mandate to protect the people, but more so the environment na meron tayo sa Pilipinas, because we have seen the impacts already reeling into our communities, and with the issues of flood control projects na hindi pa rin solve and wala pa rin nakukulong, ay anong gagawin natin, di ba? Politicians can't even be put into accountability, and even more so the corporations that have destroyed our environment. Maraming salamat po.
All right, thank you, Sir Jeff. I think yung insights po ni Architect Galicia and Sir Jeff po magagandang ways to conclude our open forum, no? It all boils down to being pro-people, pro-nature po, no? It all boils down to our love for the home that we share po, no? So those are great insights po to conclude a very productive open forum, a very productive exchange of thoughts po, no? So unfortunately po, Sir David had to run, so I'll sasaluhin ko na po ang ating conclusion, no? So nakikita po namin na ang dami pong insights and comments and reactions sa chat box, no? Marami pa po tayong questions and all rightfully addressing the concerns surrounding Parex po, no? So, apologies po if we cannot entertain everyone. I see naman po na everyone's interacting with each other with such very good thoughts po, no? So, that's a good, it's happy to see that this session is being an avenue for everyone to share their thoughts and ideas po, no? So, before we conclude today's Kamayan Forum po, no, may announcements po muna ako. Alright, thank you po ulit sa ating research speakers, no? So before we formally conclude today's forum, firstly, the evaluation form. The GC Secretariat will be sharing the link to the evaluation form in the chat box, and it will also be flashed on screen. Your feedback means a lot to us as it helps us improve future Kamayan forums. So we would genuinely appreciate it if everyone takes a few minutes to fill it out. Secondly, for those requesting e-certificates of participation, we would like to remind everyone that you must have actually been present in today's forum, not just pre-registered. And of course, you must submit a completed evaluation form, which we have shared earlier. Ayan po. Thirdly, we would also like to invite everyone to become an official member of Green Convergence. Join us all in our movement towards sustainable development and stay engaged in GC's activities such as our monthly Kamayan and many more. So the membership registration link will also be shared in the chat box, and it is currently flashed on your screens. So make sure also to like and follow Green Convergence's Facebook page for more updates. Reminder, we only have one Facebook page. It is Green Convergence. Again, it is our only official Facebook account, not Green Convergence Philippines, Green Convergence Philippines-GC, just Green Convergence po. Yan na po ang aming Facebook account. And finally, you can now visit our new official website. It's greenconvergence.org, not greenconvergence.com, not greenconvergence.org.ph, just greenconvergence.org. So please feel free to visit our new website to know more about GC and our programs and projects. Of course, we'd like to remind also everyone that our call for papers for the Philippine Environment Summit 2027 with the theme Nature-Based Solutions to Sustainable Development is still ongoing. We invite community leaders and members of the academic community to share research, projects, and initiatives that demonstrate how nature-based solutions can address today's environmental challenges. So the deadline for abstract submissions is on October 30, 2026. For the complete guidelines and mechanics, kindly check our announcement materials in our Facebook page. And we look forward to your valuable contributions to the forthcoming summit. Moreover, we also encourage everyone to be mindful of their carbon footprint. Use the Ako Ang Bukas Household GHG Calculator web app, where you can calculate your carbon footprint and find ways to reduce it. You can also be part of the bigger change by signing the Ako Ang Bukas pledge. So links are shared on your screens and also in the chat box. And for our research speakers and everyone in the Zoom room, feel free also to send in links in the chat box if you have programs or projects that maybe we can participate in or explore. Ayun, na-share naman po kanina yung briefer on Parex, no? So, thank you po for that, Sir Jeff. All right. I was supposed to say back to you, Sir David, pero wala naman siya. All right, this afternoon, we've heard different perspectives on the proposed Parex, from its rationale and intended benefits to the environmental, heritage, and transportation concerns surrounding the project. So as we wrap up today's Kamayan Forum, let us hear a few closing words from someone who has continuously championed meaningful conversations and collective action for a more sustainable environment. It is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Victoria M. Segovia, President of Green Convergence, who will deliver our closing remarks. Makakalikasang araw po, Ms. Vicky.
Thank you, Marian. Thank you very much to all our speakers this afternoon. I was really breathless in awe of the beautiful sharing given to us by Architect Dom and Jeff. And listening to them, I was really convinced that we really should fight for the preservation of our ilog. Ilog huwag patayin, ilog pasiglahin. Kasama na ninyo ako ngayon dyan. Nagperma na ako doon sa inyong petition. At sana marami pa ang sasama sa atin. Kung ganito ang usapan, napaka-yaman at parang nakakabigay talaga ng malaking pagpaunawa sa lahat, no? Kung gaano kahalaga itong ginagawa natin na pipigilan ang paggawa nitong Parex at Salex. I thank the representatives from the Department of Transportation for their people-centered lens in the transport agenda by ensuring and assuring us that they put social considerations and public interest and long-term development goals, plus environmental safeguards in all the projects. Yeah, let's have that always. And we will be with you in that, sir. I like also to thank Attorney Eugenio. I hope that from now on, ma'am, you will help us really na ipalabas kung ano ang dapat na gagawin para sa ating bayan. And to answer the question of Ms. Tessa, my experience, my personal experience about this esplanade, I saw that a little of this was done along Arroceros Forest Park, and then I saw it along the Guadalupe part of the Pasig River. And lately, I have heard that Vico Soto made the same esplanade also in Pasig. And I saw from the reports and my own experience in going to these places that it really helps in the quality of life. It encourages people to go around, to walk around, to park, to bring their families and enjoy the space in the city. So I hope that all of us now realize the importance of Pasig River, and we will all be together in seeing to it na ang Pasig River hindi mamatay. Ito ay lalong pasiglahin natin, linisan, keep always clean, and maybe someday that will even become one of our beautiful parks in Manila that will encourage tourists to come, just like they do it in Venice. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Miss Vicky, for reminding us that Pasig River is in a way the heart of our community, no? And that we have to care for it, consider social, cultural, and environmental safeguards in caring for Pasig River. Again, thank you, Miss Vicky, and maraming salamat din po sa ating resource speakers at sa lahat ng nag-attend ng ating Kamayan Forum. Let us all now enjoy our holidays rest as we commemorate Ninoy Aquino Day and have a great and restful weekend as well. So we are reminding everyone that our next Kamayan will be on September 18, 2026. We hope to see you all again next month for another meaningful Kamayan para sa kalikasan session. No? See you all also on September 23 to 24 for our Green Sauna. We sincerely thank everyone for understanding why we had to postpone it to a later date. May you all keep safe. This has been Maria Luisa Palo. Thank you, Sir David. If you're watching, this has been Maria Luisa Palo, Media and Communications Officer of Green Convergence. See you all again on September 18. Let us keep the conversation going, share what you've learned, and invite others to be part of the movement, and together, let's build a greener and more sustainable future. Muli, maraming salamat at makakalikasang araw po sa ating lahat. Have a good weekend. Ingat po.
Thank you. God bless
Thank
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. It's a wonderful event. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.